No one in the galaxy remembered Earth anymore. Long ago, humans had launched ships into deep space, but over time, their name faded like dust in the wind. Civilizations rose and fell across the stars. Mighty empires clashed and vanished. Ancient wars burned through planets, and then peace finally came. A powerful group called the Order of Many took control. A council made of over 100 alien races, each wise, proud, and sure of their place in the universe. They believed all danger had passed. The galaxy was safe now, calm and advanced. But far out in the quiet, forgotten part of space, far beyond the places the council still watched, a signal blinked into existence. A ship slowly appeared, massive and strange. Its shape was different. Its armor was heavy and old, and its design didn't match anything the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. At first, scanners couldn't read it. The materials were strange. The energy signature was ancient, and yet the ship moved with silent power. Some thought it was a ghost ship. Others thought it was a weapon from an old war, still drifting. But they were all wrong. It was human. Inside that ship, called the Solar Warden, stood Commander Alara Cross. She wore a dark gray uniform with a single glowing badge, the symbol of Earth, though no one else would recognize it now. Alara had been born centuries ago on Earth, before her planet fell into chaos and silence. She had been placed in cryosleep, her body frozen, her mind resting, until the ship's AI woke her. The mission she was part of had a name: Project Dawnstar. It was launched in Earth's final days, a desperate hope to send humans to the edge of the galaxy, far from the wars and collapse that had ruined their home. The ship traveled alone, slowly but surely, across deep space for thousands of years. When it finally reached the stars of Sector X-94, it found something unexpected. The galaxy had moved on. There were no signs of the old wars. There were no cries for help, no ruins. What Alara saw was a beautiful galaxy full of powerful species who no longer feared danger. But what stood out the most was that no one remembered humans. Not their history, not their voice, nothing. To the rest of the galaxy, humans were just a rumor, a forgotten name in a dusty book. Alara stood at the front window of the ship, looking at the stars that stretched forever in every direction. Her eyes were calm but sharp. She could feel it. This was not going to be a simple reunion. This was a first meeting. To the galaxy, she and her ship were strangers. But she was ready. She didn't come to ask for a place. She came to remind the galaxy that humans still existed, and that they were strong. Her hand hovered over the control panel. She pressed a button and the ship's beacon activated. A pulse of light shot into the stars, carrying an old Earth message translated into every known language the ship had collected. The message was clear. We come in peace, but we are ready. Then she stood straight and waited. The stars blinked, and the silence returned. For now. Commander Alara Cross, the first human the galaxy had seen in 10,000 years, had just knocked on the door of the future. And whether they welcomed her or not, the galaxy would have to answer. The moment the beacon from the human ship lit up the stars, the galaxy felt it. The signal was old, deep, and strong, something no one had heard in over 10,000 years. Across distant planets and hidden star bases, machines started blinking. Warning lights flashed, and ancient codes were suddenly alive again. Deep in the heart of the galaxy, where the Galactic Council ruled from a great floating station made of crystal and dark metal, alarms began to echo. Inside the main hall, 100 alien leaders turned to face the center screen as a signal played, loud and clear. The voice was calm, powerful, and carried a strange weight. It said, "We come in peace, but we are ready." High Chair Zakarn, who had led the council for over 500 years, narrowed his 6 eyes as he listened. The code of the message was something he had seen only once in the old records. Class Z Omega, he muttered. Terran origin. Whispers spread like fire. Humans? Someone gasped. But they were just a myth. Another voice said, that frequency hasn't been used since before the time of silence. The oldest among them, called the Archivist, stepped forward. She was tall, thin, and gray like ash. Her voice was dry but clear. No myth, she said. Humans were real. They left before our oldest cities were even built. They vanished before the Great Peace began. Some say they were violent, others say they were brilliant. But they didn't die. They prepared. And now, that old race had returned. But they had not come in shining ships or with friendly songs. They came in silence, wrapped in iron, in a ship that looked more like a weapon than a traveler. The Solar Warden did not shine. It growled. It moved like a beast watching from the shadows. And it was not alone. Hidden across space, in places, no one watched anymore. More ships began to stir. Huge machines, shaped like daggers and towers, slowly powered up. Hundreds of old human ships, each part of the ancient plan called Project Dawnstar, were waking from sleep. The galaxy, once full of fear, had long ago traded swords for peace flags. But humans had kept sharpening theirs in the dark. As the council argued about what to do, one young race decided not to wait. The Varkon, proud and warlike, believed the humans were a threat that had to be stopped early. Their leaders, impatient and bold, gathered their warships and flew toward the human signal. They thought the humans were weak. They thought old machines could not fight new ones. They thought a race asleep for so long would not be ready. They were wrong. Commander Alara Cross watched the incoming ships from her control deck. The screens showed the Varkon fleet in sharp red lines. Her crew, mostly AI and auto systems, waited quietly. She didn't panic. She had trained for this before she was ever frozen. She gave a single command: defense grid, online. Across the ship's surface, a blue shield shimmered like a wave. The Varkon fired plasma bombs and gravity traps, but nothing worked. The human tech was strange, different, strong. Then came Alara's next order. The ship's AI, Argus, launched a counterattack. Human weapons were not graceful. They didn't disable. They erased. The Varkon ships vanished, burned from existence by neutron fire. In seconds, the battle ended. Alara looked at the stars. "We didn't come to fight," she whispered, "but we will defend ourselves." And now, the galaxy had seen what the forgotten race could do. The aftermath of the Varkon attack rippled through the galaxy, causing shockwaves of fear and confusion. The Varkon fleet, once feared for their brutal strength and ruthless tactics, had been wiped out in a matter of seconds. Their ships vanished, into the void, reduced to nothing by the unknown power of the human ship, Solar Warden. News of the battle spread like wildfire across the stars, reaching the Galactic Council within hours. Many races were terrified. The peace the galaxy had enjoyed for centuries now felt fragile, and the return of the humans seemed to shatter everything. Some of the council leaders were shaking with fear. "We've made a mistake," one of the Zilthar representatives muttered, their insect-like face pale. "The humans are not a forgotten species. They are a threat." High Chair Zakarn stood silently at the center of the council chamber, his many eyes scanning the room. The archivist, wise and ancient, had seen the danger from the start. She was the first to speak after the silence grew thick. "Humans are not our enemy," she said, her voice calm but heavy with centuries of knowledge. "They are not like us. They are not like the other species of the galaxy. But they are not invaders either. They are survivors. And they've come back to see if this galaxy is worth their return." Zakarn's voice rang out, cutting through the murmurs. "We must send a delegation. We cannot let this escalate. We must know what they want, and we must find a way to coexist. So, the council made a decision. They would send a small diplomatic ship, one that carried the most respected members of the council, to make contact with the humans. The ship's journey to the Solar Warden was tense. Fear clouded the minds of those on board. What would they find? What if the humans were more dangerous than anyone had realized? And what if the humans wanted something the galaxy could not give? As the ship approached the Solar Warden, the vast human warship loomed ahead. Its form was massive, ancient, and beautiful in its own way, covered with the scars of old battles and time's slow decay. When the delegation arrived, they were greeted with silence. The human ship's doors opened slowly, revealing the cold, metallic interior of the vessel. The council members stepped out onto the deck, eyes wide, as they looked at the human soldiers, tall, strong, their faces serious, but not unfriendly. Then, standing at the front of the room, was Alara Cross. She wasn't like the rest of the galaxy's leaders. She didn't carry the pride of an empire or the gentle manners of a diplomat. She was a soldier, a commander, and her presence alone sent a clear message. Humanity had arrived, and they weren't here to beg. Alara greeted them with respect, but without fear. "Welcome to the Solar Warden, the ship that carries the last of humanity," she said, her voice steady. "We did not come to conquer, but we did not come to be forgotten either. We will share knowledge, trade, and offer peace. But we do not bow to anyone." The council members were taken aback by her words. They had expected humility, some sign of weakness, a request to be accepted. But instead, they saw strength, quiet, controlled, and undeniable. As the conversation began, Alara explained everything. She spoke of Earth's fall, the wars that destroyed their home, and the decision to leave and wait for a time when they could return. She told them that humanity's ships had slept for centuries, but now they had awoken. She didn't ask for anything, only a place in this galaxy, a chance to show what humans could offer. As the council listened, it became clear that humans were not here to take power. They weren't here to destroy. They were here to survive. And maybe, just maybe, to help build something better. The council's doubts didn't disappear. Some were still afraid. But there was also a sense of respect. They could not ignore what humanity had done. They had survived when the rest of the galaxy thought them lost forever. And now they were back, ready, strong, and determined to make their mark. As the days passed after the first meeting, the galaxy was filled with whispers. The appearance of humanity had shaken the foundations of everything the Galactic Council had believed about peace, power, and the future. Some alien races looked on in fear, unsure of what these humans were capable of, while others saw an opportunity to form alliances. Commander Alara Cross stood on the observation deck of the Solar Warden, watching the stars stretch out in front of her. The meeting with Faye, the council had gone better than expected, but she knew the real challenge was just beginning. The galaxy had lived in peace for centuries, with no wars to speak of, no serious threats, until now. The humans weren't seen as a threat yet, but that didn't mean the galaxy would easily accept them. And so, Alara and her crew worked tirelessly, scanning the stars, preparing for the diplomatic journey ahead. At the same time, the Galactic Council was grappling with what to do. The archivist, who had lived through the rise and fall of countless civilizations, was the first to push for unity. "Humans offer us a chance to learn, to expand beyond what we know," she argued. "We cannot let fear guide us. If we allow the past to dictate our future, we risk repeating mistakes we've long forgotten." But not all the council members were convinced. The Zilthar, an insect-like species known for their cold logic and distrust of anything unfamiliar, opposed the idea of integrating humanity into the galaxy. "We cannot allow such a dangerous species to become too powerful," one of their leaders warned. Their weapons. What if they use them against us? What if they want more than just a place to live? Zakarn, the leader of the council, listened to the arguments but remained silent for a long time. Finally he spoke, his voice low and calm. Humanity may not seek power, but they are here, and we must treat them with respect. Their strength is undeniable, but they are not invaders. If we show them our willingness to work together, we may find that their knowledge, their experience, can help us grow. The council had to decide: move forward cautiously, or let the fear of the unknown drive them apart. Zakarn proposed a solution, a joint mission where humans and other races would work together to explore new regions of space. This would be their first test of cooperation. It was a bold move, and while some were wary, the majority agreed. They hoped this venture would allow them to gauge humanity's true intentions. Commander Alara was offered a place on the mission, a rare honor, and she accepted without hesitation. She knew this was the chance humanity needed to show the galaxy they weren't just survivors from an ancient past, but a species capable of forging their future. As Alara prepared for the mission, she reflected on what this meant for her people. The Solar Warden had traveled far from Earth, but it was just the beginning. The humans had been forgotten, left to drift in the darkness of space. But now they had come back, ready to carve out their place in the galaxy once more. And while Alara couldn't predict what the future would hold, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity's arrival had changed everything. The galaxy might have moved on, but humanity was ready to make its mark. As the first human leader to step onto an alien world in over 10,000 years, Alara felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She wasn't just representing Earth anymore. She was representing all of humanity, and her mission was clear. They had to prove they were more than the long-forgotten race. They were survivors, explorers, and, most importantly, ready to join the galaxy as equals. The joint mission to explore the unknown regions of space began with great anticipation. The crew aboard the Solar Warden included representatives from multiple alien races, each bringing their unique expertise to the table. Humanity, once thought to be lost forever, was now part of something bigger. Commander Alara Cross stood on the bridge, observing the diverse crew as they worked together. There was tension in the air, but also an undeniable sense of curiosity. The crew knew this mission could define the future of the galaxy. The first few weeks were filled with cautious cooperation. The humans and aliens were learning to work alongside each other, their differences both a challenge and a strength. The Zilthar, with their cold logic, often clashed with the more impulsive humans, while the Zorvans, an energy-based life form, struggled to communicate their ideas. However, as the mission progressed, small victories were made. The humans' practical approach to problem-solving won over the skeptical alien races. When an unexpected space anomaly appeared, the human team quickly adapted and found a solution, earning the respect of their companions. For the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't seen as an outcast. They were seen as equals, with valuable skills and insights. But as they ventured deeper into unexplored space, the crew encountered a mystery that no one expected. An ancient, derelict station appeared on the edge of a black hole, its surface pitted and scarred. It was a remnant from a forgotten era, older than anything in the galaxy's current records. The station was silent, its systems offline, yet something about it seemed alive. Alara made the decision to investigate. As the crew boarded the station, they were greeted with eerie silence. The air was thick, and the lights flickered in the dim corridors. Strange markings covered the walls, and old, half-decayed equipment lay scattered around. It was clear that whoever had built this station was long gone. But the question was, who had they been? And why had they left behind such a powerful relic? As Alara led the exploration, She couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. The deeper they ventured into the station, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. Then, deep within the station's core, they found a massive control room. In the center, a holographic display flickered to life, showing a map of the galaxy, one that included Earth, marked with a symbol that was unfamiliar. It was a warning, not just for the crew, but for humanity. The message was clear. The galaxy has moved on, but the past is not finished. The humans are not alone. Alara knew this discovery was more than just a forgotten relic. It was a message, a warning from an ancient civilization that had vanished, but who still had a presence in the galaxy. The realization hit hard. Humanity's return wasn't just about survival or exploration. It was about something much larger. Humanity was caught in the web of a galaxy that had long moved past its origins, and yet its future was tied to the secrets of its past. As the Solar Warden and its crew returned to the Council to report their findings, Alara's thoughts were heavy. The galaxy had moved on, yes, but humanity's arrival had stirred something ancient, something that couldn't be ignored. There were forces out there, waiting, watching, and the humans had unknowingly awakened them. The mission had been a success, but the true challenge was just beginning. Humanity had arrived, but what would they do with the knowledge they had uncovered? Would they be able to survive in a galaxy that had forgotten them? Or would they become a part of the galaxy's forgotten past once again? Alara didn't know the answers yet, but one thing was certain. Humanity's place in the galaxy had only just begun. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, and now humanity was part of it. And in this great cosmic dance there was no going back.